Hey everyone, it's Craig with One Man's Cancer Journey coming at you with my regular update. This past week we had chemotherapy last Friday, and that went well. Continue to do well receiving the chemotherapy and in my recovery. So I do really well Fridays and Saturdays. Sundays, I get a little bit tired and sometimes get some headaches. But overall, compared to what I see with some other patients, I feel very fortunate that I'm able to handle the treatments well and that we're able to continue to aggressively fight this disease that has riddled my body. Additionally, this week we had a PET or a PET scan. And if you remember from earlier vlogs that I've done, I shared kind of what the difference between the CT scan and the PET scans are. The CT scans we do a little bit more regularly, and they help us to see the number of spots in the liver and be able to measure those spots and be able to kind of see if they're shrinking or growing. The PET scan's a little bit different. What we do with the PET scan is they inject a radioactive dye into my bloodstream in a sugar solution. I sit around for about an hour while that circulates through my body, and then I go into the scanning machine. And the scan itself really only takes about 15 minutes. There's no pain. I don't have to hold my breath or anything like that. I just need to lay there and they'll scan. And what happens, or what we're looking for, is the scan will show an intensity or a brightness of the cancer cells. And so what happens is the cancer cells that are really active within my body, they will absorb this radioactive dye and they will shine brightly in the images. And so what we're looking for, hopefully, is, from the last time that we had a PET scan, one, do we see less illumination or less cells that are absorbing the radioactive dye? And then two, are they duller? Are the lights duller, or the image is duller or brighter? We don't want them to be brighter. That means the cancer cells are very active. We want them to be duller. And so that's what we're looking for from the PET scan. Now, unfortunately, it's early in the month and my follow-up isn't scheduled with Dr. Tajani until the 27th, but we're working to try to get that moved up, hopefully maybe next week or the week after, so that we can really understand that impact, or from the last scan to this scan, and see what's going on with the cancer, particularly around the gastric lymph node, where we did see some potentially spread or just some inflammation. So we're just trying to get some clarification around that. So hopefully we'll get that set up here soon. I think one of the other things that I wanted to share this week is an area that I continue to struggle with. And that is around the fact that when you look at me, or when I'm participating in virtual meetings via Zoom or Teams, I don't necessarily look sick, right? So I've lost some weight, but we've been able to maintain that. I haven't lost all of my hair, and things like physically looking at me, you wouldn't necessarily know that I have cancer. And sometimes that fools myself. I look in the mirror and I'm like, am I really sick? And then something like Sunday happens. And what happened on Sunday was our family decided to go to a UCF basketball game, and our tickets were in the upper level. And so I had to climb a number of stairs to get up to our ticketed seats. And I realized just how weak my body is. And it probably took me a good 15, 20 minutes to recover from climbing those stairs. And those would have been things that I would have, easily walked up and had no trouble with prior. But clearly, walking around the house on a day-to-day basis, participating in work, sitting at my desk, kind of lures me into this, hey, maybe it's not as bad as I think, until I start to push myself in some ways. But I think that that's also helped me to realize that fighting cancer, there's a physical aspect, but there's an equal, if not even greater component, and that's the mental aspect of this game. And so if you look fine on the outside, but then you're battling this on the inside, and then you do something physical and realize, I still have this disease, or you wonder, people looking at you going, he doesn't look sick. Is he really sick? Does he really have cancer? And I know that's not what people think, but that's where your mind goes. And I think it's okay to do that, but it's important not to dwell there. The other thing is cancer brain is real. If you're going through this battle, and you probably can relate to me that your short-term and mid-term memory can be really bad, and you don't realize it. And this week I was reminded, I had made a comment to my daughter, and she's like, "You said that last time I was home, Dad." And I didn't even remember I did. And so it was a bit of an awareness that I can miss some of that stuff. And it's not intentional, but it's there. And after you realize it, if someone reminds you, intentionally, not meaning to do any harm or make you feel a certain way, but it's part of that mental game that makes you realize that you are sick and it's impacting your body. And so, I joke about having a cancer brain, but this week I was reminded again that I really do. And that short-term memory, the drugs that we're putting into my body, it has an impact. And I'm praying that, when we get to a point of remission or maintenance, that and we can back off the every other weeks of chemo treatment, that the neuropathy in my feet and my hands will go away. And that when my body starts to clear some of these drugs out of my system, some of these faculties that I feel like I'm losing will start to come back. But if you're suffering from cancer, just know that you're not alone, that if you forget things and you feel like sometimes it's just not there, it's real. And it's got to be driven by these drugs, and it's a hard thing to accept. But know that you're not alone. And so fighting cancer, there's a physical component of it. I'm very, very fortunate that my physical component is not at the extremes of many other people that are fighting cancer. But my mental component of fighting cancer is very real, and it rears its ugly head every couple weeks. And it can be hard to accept at times. And I just pray that it's short term. If you are someone who prays, I would ask for some prayers this week for a family friend. His name is Steve. Steve is a fellow cancer patient in the Tampa, Florida area. He's got some other health issues. This past weekend, however, though, he had a stroke and ended up in the ER. He's lost some mobility on his right side and has some lesions in his brain. And so he was in the ICU for a period, and it was touch and go. And they weren't sure if he was going to come through this incident. I'm thankful to share that he has come through and has been moved out of ICU and seems to be making some good recovery. Obviously still has limited mobility of his right side, so he's going to have some hard work ahead of him, but thankful that it wasn't his time yet. And just pray for him and his family as they deal with these challenges. I know that he struggles with support from his work, whereas I feel very blessed for my team and my leaders at the Public Consulting Group, that they are very supportive of me and my journey through cancer. And I never feel threatened or not supported, whereas I know others don't receive the same level of care and support that I've received from my company. And so I'm just very grateful for that. For my gratitude moment, I am grateful for life choices made. There's two things in particular that struck me this week. One is, back in 2009, my wife and I decided that we no longer wanted to be slave to the lender, as it says in the Bible, and we made a conscious effort to become debt-free. And we got debt-free in 2009, and through God's blessings, we've been able to remain debt-free, and it has really given us financial peace. We certainly are not the financial experts. We're not independently wealthy. We've made some bad choices with finances, but through it all, we have continued to remain debt-free, and it has allowed us to make choices and do things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to had we been carrying debt. And so I'm grateful for that journey that we did and for instilling that in our children so that they graduate from college being debt-free and they know how to start their life and prepare to be able to retire more comfortably than we will. The second choice that we made was when our oldest, Abigail, was born, we decided that we wanted one of us to stay home full time. And that's a financial commitment from any family. But for us, it was what we felt was right. And it would give us the opportunity to really grow and nurture our children in a way that we wanted to. And I'm so thankful to Megan for being willing to stay home. And then she was the primary educator as we homeschooled our girls. And this past week, we had two incidents that these things related to. One was Abigail had some trouble with her car. We took it into the shop. They called a couple times throughout the day saying, oh, we need to fix this, we need to fix this, we need to fix this. Well, because we were debt-free, because we have some savings, I was able to say, just get it fixed. Particularly knowing she's moving to California in a couple months, I wanted to make sure that she had a safe car. And so being debt-free, it was nice to be able to say, just fix it. Don't worry about the cost. Just get it fixed. And so I was grateful for that. The second was Mariana's had some struggles up at school. She's had some bullying by some of her fellow classmates, and we've been trying to work through that with her. We were up there for Christmas. Megan came home, and then she learned some information about the otter that she was training is getting moved to another zoo, and it was devastating because she's really connected with this otter. And so because Megan has been a full-time mom and caregiver, we just sent her back up to spend time with Mariana. And so she was up there and helped Mariana work through her grief of this piece and work through the challenges and really help her think through it. And we're able to do that because she doesn't have a 9-to-5 job that she has to report to somewhere. And yes, it means that, we haven't had two incomes throughout our life, and we don't have the savings or the retirement that we necessarily would have hoped or prayed for, but it's allowed us to create some family dynamics that we really feel blessed to have, and a closeness within our immediate family that we just love. And so I'm grateful for life choices made and seeing how those choices that we made early on 20 some years ago, 10, 20 years ago, are now having impacts on our lives today. And just thankful to be able to have made those choices and be able to see the rewards. My name's Craig with One Man's Cancer Journey, and I wish for you a blessed week.